I remember the moment I learned that the gospel didn't stop at conversion. I was a new believer, all of 19 years old, with a backbone full of zeal and a mouth not yet skilled in grace. I was afraid to read the Old Testament because I thought it to be nothing more than genealogies and commandments. I had yet to taste of God coming to life in its pages between the cracked sea and a bloody doorpost pointing to a bleeding God, the Passover, and its prophetic posture did not prostrate me at that stage, but I loved him. Not because I was told to, but because something happened in me that made me unlike all that I thought love for God to be. I thought it duty before. Why would any sane soul lay aside sin to worship God? But after meeting him, I knew better. I understood by experience before doctrine that Jesus had my affections, but it wasn't too long after that I learned that this body, this flesh was still Jackie before her resurrection. It was still as dead as death, and it still felt good to die sometimes, and I needed help. I didn't know how to fight. These hands hadn't been trained by war yet. To the woman that discipled me said, Jackie, you know the gospel didn't just save you, but it keeps you. Because of the gospel, you have victory. I had never heard the gospel in that light in my life. If you would have seen my heart at that moment, you would have seen it full of enough joy to explode a smile. The good news was good news again to me that day. I was tempted to lust after a woman with all of her beauty, reminding me of all of the lesbian I knew myself to be 12 months prior. I could not remember one scripture to quote that would distract me from her glance, not one song to sing that would help me look away, but I remembered the gospel. I remembered my risen Lord, and that if death had no dominion over him, then surely I was as free as the sky he ascended to. I did not yet know what the veil being torn meant for me, but I did know that because of Jesus, I was no longer God's enemy, but his child with no shame. That day, I learned so much more than how to fight temptation, but I learned that the gospel is the means by which I learned to live and love. I am now 26 years old, with just as much zeal and still not yet skilled in grace, passing on to everyone I meet that, hey, you know the gospel not only saves you, but it keeps you. Ain't that good news?